As everything around us gets more stressful, cozy games have been a nice respite many of us have turned to unwind, forget, or just relax. Beastro gives you all of that, mixed with clever combat, fun and innovative deck building, and some general resource management that will keep you burning through the game until the credits roll. Beastro is a hard game to explain, which is evident by the game's thick, near multi-hour long tutorial. I'll do my best to sum it up as we go. You play as Panko, a cute little fox set in a cute little world inhabited by various other animals and creatures. The game is separated by days, with each day featuring 3 segments. The morning time, which is your resource gathering, midday, which is cooking and serving folks of your village, and nighttime, which is the dungeon crawling. Panko runs a restaurant in his town, and the meals you serve both make you money and also determine what your caretakers, the real heroes of the game, take into those nighttime combat encounters. The spells those caretakers will cast during combat are all based upon the ingredients you serve them during dinner. These ingredients essentially act as spell types of sorts. For example, you can have spicy ingredients, you can have salty ingredients, and these kind of correspond to different card types that you will take into battle. It's complex, but it's honestly a bit more confusing to explain than it is to actually play, because they make it pretty accessible even from the jump. The mechanics actually elegantly feed into one another, and they make every section of the game feel important. And as I mentioned, you will begin each day with the more resource management heavy aspect of the game, the morning. During this time, you run around your small village collecting veggies, meat, and other small resources to use in the kitchen. This management aspect never really feels overwhelming in any way. It's very simplistic and easy to wrap your head around while never becoming too tedious. They also integrate some automation in the game as it continues, which makes things flow a bit smoother, though it's certainly never required. Once you're in the kitchen, you'll whip up various recipes through numerous minigames, all of which are also quite simple, such as shooting a ball into a flaming pot, chopping ingredients in a certain rhythm, or just bashing ingredients that land on your table. The slight complexity comes when you begin assembling a dish for your caretaker. Making this plate is a much more complex matter where you have to keep in mind a variety of things, such as what cards do you want to bring into battle, what does the caretaker request in that actual meal, how do your ingredients work together, among many others. Then after dinner service, you venture out beyond your town's walls and engage with the turn-based deck building combat. This combat is one of the few parts of the game that does get a bit more complex. On top of the cards having special types, like mentioned earlier, such as umami, sweet, salty, etc., they also have some positives / buffs that can activate upon fulfilling certain requirements. These requirements are things such as winning with a certain card or keeping a card in your hand as you attack with other cards. Admittedly, though, I never really found myself fully engaging with these systems. They just kind of seemed unnecessary due to the actual combat never feeling difficult enough to warrant them. The mini-bosses and the eventual bosses were never too frustrating and only required 1 or 2 failures before I was able to finally complete them. But either way, having those sorts of systems integrated into the combat is nice, even if they do feel a little tacked on or underbaked. Beastro's look is one that, if you regularly play cozy games, you're probably pretty familiar with. It's a very clean, colorful, and smooth look that works just fine. Nothing about the look is especially problematic, nor is it especially impressive. The only exception to that is the animation during the combat. The in-world framing for why you are finding out about this combat is that the caretaker is telling Panko a story about how their adventure in the woods went. And that story is being told using stick puppets, which are controlled by the player. It's very simplistic, but it's actually quite cute and adorable. It leads to some really cool design, both in the spell casting, but also in some of the more wild enemies you encounter later on in the game. Speaking of familiarity, Beastro tells a story that's not entirely unique, though it does take some pretty wild swings near the end. There are themes of acceptance, isolationism, etc. throughout, and they are done pretty well, though certainly not the star of the experience. That is until some of the later plot elements that directly involve some pretty dour topics, such as the extinction of an entire race, and one of the main characters potentially playing a large part in said extinction. I admire the gumption of putting these sorts of story bits into this game, but they're honestly integrated a bit awkwardly and late in the game, and I don't think they hit in any way that the product kind of wants. That being said, hey, at least they took a big swing, so some credit for that, I suppose. Beastro may not be a game that breaks any molds, but it's a really lovely experience that I could not recommend more. It ticks every cozy game box you may have, while also featuring some complexity and nuance that would attract others looking for a deeper experience. There are cute characters, neat minigames, and heaps of personality in this tight little 15-hour experience. And at a price point of $20 or less, that makes Beastro a necessary buy for anyone that needs a new adventure to go on or just a break from the stressful world around us. If you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe. I also post videos covering old games we might have forgotten about and new games we might not yet have discovered. Till next time, take care.